The Wildcats began the 2009 season against the same opponents they played at the beginning of the 2008 season, the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. ACU beat the Bearcats 19-15 in the first nationally televised home game for the Wildcats behind an incredible defensive performance and this Clark Harrell to Ben Gibbs touchdown. In Week 2, ACU was home once again, this time playing host to the visiting Skyhawks from Fort Lewis. The defense dominated again as ACU ran its regular season win streak to 12 games in the 58-10 rout of the Skyhawks. Next up for the Wildcats, a trip to the historic Cotton Bowl to play Texas A&M Commerce in the Harvey Martin Classic, ACU's first ever trip to the hallowed stadium. And befitting the venue, Drew Cuffey clinched the game for the Wildcats in what will surely go down as one of the greatest plays in ACU history with his 81-yard walk-off interception return in overtime to give the Wildcats the 20-14 victory. ACU is back home after a week on the road, squaring off with the LSC North visiting Southeastern Savage Storm. ACU looked in control from the beginning, jumping out to a 28-0 lead, and they never looked back. Then the Greyhounds from eastern New Mexico came to town, boasting the most prolific passing offense in the nation with over 400 yards per game. But the ACU defense had an answer, holding Eastern to just 300 offensive yards passing and 3 offensive touchdowns. Justin Johnson's kickoff return for a touchdown at the beginning of the second half helped spark an ACU comeback for the 44-33 victory. It was back on the road for the Wildcats, traveling to East Central, and much as they did in 2008, they did in 2009, dominating East Central 43-6 in Mitchell Gale's first ever NCAA collegiate start. ACU traveled to Angelo State the next week to take on the number 23 Rams, and in dominating fashion, the Wildcats improved to 7-0 on their season and 17 straight regular season wins, while at the same time spoiling their rivals' homecoming. The Wildcats grabbed the number 1 national ranking for the first time ever in Division II, heading into a homecoming showdown with longtime bitter rival West Texas A&M. But the Buffaloes were too much for the Wildcats as Keithon Fleming racked up 173 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns. The Wildcats went down, ending their run at a second perfect season. It wouldn't get any easier for the struggling Wildcats, who were on the road in Week 9 to face off with Tarleton State. The Texans' dominating defense was too much, and Devin Gwynn's 71-yard punt return for a touchdown did the Wildcats in as they fell 13-6. Looking to right the ship back at home, ACU played host to Texas A&M Kingsville and quarterback Billy Garza. Despite being up 47-14 heading into the fourth quarter, the Wildcats would have to withstand a Javelina comeback in which Billy Garza went 12 for 17 and threw 2 touchdown passes. ACU did escape with the win 47-35. It came down to the regular season finale for the Wildcats to clinch a playoff berth, but Midwestern State was also in the hunt for a playoff spot and had other plans in mind. Morgan Lineberry hit 2 50-plus yard field goals for the first time in school history, but it would not be enough for the Wildcats, who fell in the regular season finale 13-15. But with a couple of helpful losses, ACU squeaked into the playoffs to make it their 4th consecutive berth to the NCAA playoffs. They also earned a rematch with Midwestern State. This time the story would be different, helped by Dennis Campbell's opening kickoff return for a touchdown and a stellar defensive performance that included 5 sacks on the LSC's most efficient passer during the regular season, Zach Eskridge. The Wildcats advanced to the second round, 24-21. But looming in the second round was a familiar foe in the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. The Bearcats stifled the ACU offense and got some help from big plays throughout the game to end ACU's season for the second straight year, 35-10.